one of the biggest reasons for building a framework is because I did try doing this without a UI framework. The last version of the debugger was written without a UI framework, where I literally just drew lines and drew text. And then that worked up to a point in complexity. And then when I tried to tackle building a tree UI, I said, wow, that's getting too hard. I probably want a UI framework at this point. I need UI components that can have a parent-child relationship. That's an important aspect of the tree. Layout is dynamic layout. As in, you can expand and collapse the tree. Some components can go away or be hidden. And then when that happens, you need the layout of a particular section to change. Maybe that component has another component under it. So when the first component disappears, the component that's under it should move up to take over the space that used to be there, right? And just the composability. When I say component, we haven't defined what component means. It's just a logical part of the screen. Sidebar. Maybe there's some status over here. Maybe there's a panel. Maybe there's a scroll bar here. Another scroll bar. And there's some text here. So each rectangle could conceivably be a component. The idea of the component is first of all, it can be related to its parent or child.
How do you define, how do you decide, okay, this is somebody's parent? Because, you can draw a tree, but that parent-child is within the tree, right? So you just see a UI, you don't have an idea of a tree. So what made you make the decision of, hey, this thing's child? Because in a tree, your child is rendered under you, right? But it's not like rendered inside you. So that's different from where you see parent-child relationship. So what made you make the decision?
That's a good point. I'm mostly stealing from the DOM, but I know a lot of other frameworks work like that as well. So I can probably generalize. I made it simpler for myself by saying a child must be contained by a parent.
Layout-wise.
Layout-wise. So that means you can't have a parent like this and have a child that goes outside the parent. That is not allowed in my framework. I know in DOM that is allowed. You can use absolute positioning to achieve this. But my framework does not allow it, and I made that choice to simplify my life. When it comes to event handling, delivering a mouse event to a component, that's probably the main case when it's easier for me to deal with. In terms of a UI tree, here's the top level tree. I can adhere to this rule down here. If I lay it out as the first node is that, this inner node is that, and then that and that, and then we have that.
So you translate the tree parent-child relationship to a layout parent-child relationship.
Yep. You could look at the layout or maybe the positioning of each component as just a property or an attribute of the components themselves. So this guy here can be represented as, I can have a root, which is this guy, and then child 1, grandchild. So this is my tree structure. I just built some objects that have this structure here, and then this tree of objects can have these corresponding locations on the screen. When I decide what's going to be the position and size of each node in this tree, I can just set it root dot position is blah blah blah, 2 numbers. Child 1 dot position, and they will also have to have a size. Root node dot size is this. Child 1 dot size, and once they have a position and a size, then they can basically be mapped to this drawing surface as to where they should show up on the screen. We won't talk about layout this time. We're running out of time, but I'll just show briefly, just do this simple example. So this is a simple example of a UI built using my UI system. So first of all, I have a Vbox. Vbox is a vertical box that just lays out things vertically. We have some listeners. I make a text label and then add it to my panel, which I call the Vbox. Maybe I make it less confusing. Just call this the Vbox. Okay, I add the label to my Vbox. This is a button. Even though it's a text, I'm using the text as a button because similar to the DOM, any element can receive events. So I don't really care to make a specific button element. Add that to the Vbox. I have another button added to the Vbox, and at the bottom I have a quit label. This is called simple example. So I click here, says nice, you clicked, don't click, you still click. And then you can press Q to quit out of the program. And now let's go into the debugger. Okay, this is the Python module loader. Okay, so this is our code here. What I want to show here is how the structure, the tree structure is built up. Here, when I make a Vbox, here's the Vbox. At the moment, the Vbox has no size. It has no region. Region is the thing you draw with. And it also has no children. We're gonna make a text. Oh, I called it label. But where is it? That might be a bug. I don't see label. That might be a bug. So I might have to look into that. But in any case, after I added the label to the Vbox, now I have some children inside the Vbox. And that's this label here. And then I add another child, and then my Vbox got a second child. So now it has 2 children. Again, another one, it has 4 children now. At one more, it has 3 children. So at the end, we have a very shallow tree. A tree that has 1 parent and 4 children. So this is the UI component structure. It's just a tree.
Interesting. That's the API is similar to the what do you call it? Qt. Like Qt has like a box, and then you can do like add a child or something like that.
Yeah, I'll show you a Qt program just to show. Okay, this is a Qt to-do list that I made.
Nice. Okay.
Okay, I think I might have inadvertently stole a lot of terms from Qt because they also have a Hbox and a Vbox. Their Hbox and Vbox are layout objects, which are not totally the same as components. But that's okay. But yeah, so they have, you make a text field is called a line edit. So you make a line edit, and then a button is called a push button. So you make a button, and then you add the buttons to, you use the add widget method to add it to a layout. If you're using a layout, you can not use a layout, in which case you're doing absolute positioning. But I definitely prefer doing a layout. When you do a layout, then you have to say, set my layout to be this layout. So they treat layouts differently from components, whereas in mine, a layout is just another component that just happens to have child components in it.
Well, in this case, you can also have layouts within layout. So why do you think it does not treat layout as a component?
I don't know. That's just a design decision that they made. So basically, I have a vertical box, and then I have a horizontal box, and then I have a text field, and then I have a button over here.
Right. So the difference.
And then I have a list.
So the difference that Qt makes between layout and widget is widget cannot have children, I guess?
No, that's not true. A widget can have children. They just decided that layout should be a lighter weight thing, maybe, than a full widget. Whereas I decided it's just the same thing. But I just wanted to show you like it's pretty similar to Qt in some respects.
What do you think between like how you build layout like this versus like the DOM, which has like HTML as template? So basically in HTML, you define this kind of XML format to add children. But in here, like you add children by like calling a method. So what do you think the advantages of each way?
In HTML, you would probably say, hey, Vbox or pseudo HTML.
Yeah. Pseudo.
Or this would be XML, I guess, or like or it could be React. This could literally.
It's just HTML. It's just XML format. So
yeah, this is XML format. This is a nice feature for frameworks that have this feature. This is really nice because this is an outline. Just visually, it's much easier to see the structure of the thing versus this. Yeah, I think this is just a really nice feature to have. It doesn't change what the framework needs to do. It's just like a nice little layer on top of what the framework already provides, that you can write code in this way and then have that get translated into this maybe.
And also like you can actually change this in your code. So it's like the logic is kind of separated. Like, okay, you have this parent-child relationship defined in the HTML, but in the script, you can actually just add a component to it if you want to. So it's like the HTML you see might not be what actually there because it's kind of separated.
You can mutate it, and then this is not the truthful picture anymore. Well, I mean, you might have like if statements, like Angular, like ng if blah, and then this might hide or show, so that somewhat captures the dynamic nature. But yeah, this layer is very interesting as well, I would say, or any kind of effort to try to make the UI programming more declarative. I haven't gone there with mine because that's more of like a nice to have. Right now, I'm just working on the necessities, and there's are different approaches to achieving this. Like Angular achieves this differently than React. They both have the same goal, but they have different implementations. But outside of the web, Microsoft has this thing called Xaml, which is basically the same kind of deal, where you write XML to represent, this is XAML. And I think the Firefox team has a thing called, is it XUL or something? Oh, Zool. They might have deleted them from everywhere because they...
It's abandoned project.
It's a very much abandoned. Yes. See? I know that you can't erase it from history. I know it. I know you. Mozilla just trying to erase their past. You cannot do that on the internet, okay? I know it exists. Yeah, this is Zool. This is how Firefox used to be built. But they probably have changed it by now. So yes, the different people have came up with this concept. It's very much prevalent.
It's Peter.
There is no Dana. There is only Zoo.